Recycling goes far beyond properly throwing away plastic bottles. The process of breaking down waste products and reusing raw material is an essential component of manufacturing and packaging. The economy flourishes when raw materials can be repurposed and made into something new.
Industrial waste ends up in the landfill often. We're seeing more of an evolution where that industrial waste is ending up repurposed in their own production waste. It's also being used in other people's streams.
Recycling thinks in a circular way, and single-use plastics don't. Sometimes they're necessary, but we prefer to think in a circular way instead of a linear way. What they don't know is that those plastic bottles and that stretch film could have a second life if only you could think that far forward. But if you can reimagine it, if you have the tools in place to create that second life for that product, you could really create a product that could give and give and give instead of taking from the environment. So the key is thinking creatively. It's thinking forward. It's reimagining what you could make from what would traditionally be trash.
Out of sight, out of mind. I think a lot of people believe that once they throw their recycled material into the recycle bin, that means it's done. They're done. They've done their part and the rest is up to somebody else. Unfortunately, for years as a country, we were sending our waste to other parts of the world who were doing things with it for the most part. China put up an iron wall and basically said, we're no longer taking your scrap. And when they did that, all of a sudden, we had no home for both industrial and post-consumer scrap.
As a country, we've had to shift our focus and bring recycling initiatives and infrastructure into our daily practices, and that includes in our manufacturing processes.
Traditionally in the U.S., plastic and paper waste were often sent overseas for disposal. However, it's more economical and sustainable to process and repurpose these waste products domestically. Organizations can save on ROI and promote environmental practices simultaneously by repurposing their plastic waste.
Production waste in the manufacturing process historically has mainly been a financial issue. As of today, each nation has to look after its own waste, which also means in turn that every corporation has to look after its own waste. And we are not talking about manufacturing waste, we are also increasingly talking about the responsibility of a manufacturer to take on a product after it has been used by the consumer. We will see significantly more developments in the R&D side towards creating products and product mixes that will enable a better and easier and therefore ultimately cheaper recycling at the end of the day. So I'm convinced that separating the material before we do something with it will become incremental in all recycling solutions in the future.
Recycling doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a burden economically to a company. It actually can produce a form of secondary income when you can find some other outlet for that scrap.
So if you're looking for a strong material, your choice would be polyethylenes. It's a low-cost material to use and reuse. The wood fiber that we use is also recycled. But not only cost, it's just being a good steward of the environment. We recycle all the water that we use, and we use a lot of water on a daily basis.
So prior to the pandemic, there was a big push for single-use plastics to be banned. Quickly, we found that there was a big use for this material. You have gloves, we have face masks, we have the shields. All of these plastic pieces were valuable and we needed to use them during this time frame. So instead of banning it, the reality was, what if we could find other uses for this material? We are seeing that process take place right now. So as this progresses in the long run, my hope is that we can continue to move towards that thought process and all the materials that we generate in the single-use world, so that it's not just a one and done, it's one and then repurposed.
WEIMA creates shredding and briquetting technology with the end goal of reusing plastic waste. This green solution perpetuates a circular economy, as opposed to a linear system that ends in landfills. Their mission is to shred responsibly by reimagining and reusing plastic waste in new and versatile ways.
Working with Fiberon's given us a really tangible example of what it is to recycle manufacturing scrap, and they're doing it in a huge way that's having a huge environmental benefit, but also an economic benefit for their company.
So Fiberon uses recycled materials to make its product. And you would think with recycled you would have a low lifespan of materials, but this material is actually a 50-year longevity. We use recycled wood, we use recycled polymers, we mix those things together, so you've got a product that will last your lifetime. Well, we're very proud of our products. We think aesthetically they're the world's leader, and we actually invented a lot of what you see. This floor that we're standing on today is an Ipe floor. It was the first of its kind using streakers, and it looks like exotic wood. And the fact that underneath that color is all recycled materials is pretty exciting.
Being environmentally responsible is something that most corporations really strive for. And I think there's a misconception that recycling initiatives within a corporation has to be an upfront expense that's just overwhelming, and that's just not the case. You can make incredible ROI from recycling your scrap that would otherwise just be thrown away, and Fiberon's proof of that.
Well, we've partnered with WEIMA in our recycling journey, and they've provided a lot of equipment. They're very innovative.
So WEIMA's size reduction equipment are the primary processor. So we start the process of breaking down any material stream so it can be used in another form. In order to recycle something, you have to size reduce it first so that you can mix it with other things and make a new product out of it.
At the recycling center where we receive the polyethylene, we utilize WEIMA shredders. They're the beginning of our process where they take this material and prepare it for conversion into something we can use.
So WEIMA started as a grinder manufacturer in the wood industry, but quickly evolved into many other markets. The technology of size reduction is used in so many arenas, from automotive scrap to general plastic scrap, paper industry, cardboard industry. It's evolving very rapidly. We're seeing it in the chemical sector. And I think the mindset of our country and the mindset of many countries is to handle this waste. I don't think people want to see stuff in the landfill anymore. I think they want to see stuff reused, and we're able to help start that process.
WEIMA is a green-based, family-run business that creates innovative green technology with global manufacturers. Their technology is constantly adapting to process new materials with long-lasting solutions. WEIMA believes in reimagining single-use plastics with a mission to create a world without waste.
What that means is we want companies to reimagine what they're doing with their scrap when they're producing products for us to use in our daily lives. We've seen companies turn stretch film into flooring. We've seen bottles turned into railroad ties. It's all about reimagining the possibilities, and they are endless if you can think creatively. When we say destroy responsibly, we really take that to heart here at WEIMA. We really feel that by shredding and briquetting all of these different materials that we're doing something good for the world by putting them back out there in a different form.
What does that mean for WEIMA's development? We are growing and expanding as the world has finally embraced the concept of recycling and resource protection. I am convinced that this trend will continue and our opportunities within it. So if you think about shredding something, think WEIMA.
To learn more, contact us today.